This podcast was generated and released by Izotropic and may contain forward-looking statements. View this disclaimer at izocorp.com/disclaimer. IzoView is not yet approved or cleared for sale. Welcome to episode number 1, Beyond the Mammogram, Rethinking the Future of Breast Imaging.
Our mission really is to unpack the big trends, the tech advancements, and the market forces shaping how we approach breast cancer detection and treatment. We've got a whole stack of sources, market reports, articles on AI, comparisons of new devices. It's all here to help you get well-informed fast.
Okay,
let's unpack this. So to really get a handle on the scale of this challenge, we have to start with a pretty stark reality. Breast cancer is, it's the most commonly diagnosed cancer among women globally. We're talking over 2.3 million new cases reported each year.
That's a global number.
Exactly. And just in the U.S., projections for 2025 are over 315,000 cases. To put that in perspective, that's nearly 1 in 3 new cancer diagnoses in women. It's quite sobering, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And what's fascinating here, or maybe revealing, is how that rising disease burden, how it directly links to these really strong market growth projections for breast imaging tech. You see, as the population ages and more women hit that screening-eligible age range, the strain on healthcare systems just intensifies.
Right.
So this creates a really clear, urgent demand for, better solutions.
And the market's definitely responding. I mean, the numbers are pretty staggering. We're looking at a global breast imaging market growing from, $5.4 billion USD in 2024 to potentially $8.69 billion by 2030. That's an 8.25% compound annual growth rate.
Yeah, it's significant growth.
And the U.S. market is set for big expansion, too.
And this growth isn't just happening randomly, right? It's fueled by several sort of converging forces. First, you've got the continuous technological advances, things like AI, true 3D imaging, contrast-enhanced techniques.
Stuff we'll definitely get into.
Exactly. And these aren't just small tweaks. They're enabling really personalized screening approaches. Second, there are the regulatory shifts. They're playing a huge part.
Like the breast density notification laws.
Precisely. The FDA mandate requiring providers to inform patients about breast density. That's key. Plus, you have more and more states, I think it's of over 15 now, mandating insurance coverage for supplemental screening.
Which means more women actually get the information and the access they need.
Right. It empowers patients.
Okay, so better tech, regulatory support. What about the patients themselves? Are their needs driving this too?
Absolutely. That's the third major force, pure patient need. There's a rising demand for screening that's more personalized, more effective, especially, and this is critical, for the, over 50% of women with dense breast tissue. Traditional methods can struggle there.
We hear that a lot.
And beyond just effectiveness, the patient experience is becoming really crucial. We're seeing this growing demand for procedures that are non-compressive, faster, just more comfortable overall.
Which makes sense. If it's easier, people are more likely to do it.
Exactly. Better comfort leads to better screening compliance. And that's a huge win for catching cancers early.
Okay, so you have these rising demands, these evolving needs. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How well are our current imaging tools actually keeping up? Maybe we should quickly walk through the established methods people might be familiar with.
Good idea.
So traditional mammography and DBT, digital breast tomosynthesis, which is like a 3D mammogram.
Right. It takes multiple images, creates layers.
Yeah, those are still the main screening tools. But the big limitation is that reduced sensitivity in dense breast tissue. Again, that's over half of women.
The compression and the overlapping tissue can hide things.
Right. And the stats show mammography alone misses about 20% of breast cancers. That feels like a pretty significant blind spot.
It is. It's a number we really need to improve on.
So, if mammography has these issues, especially with dense tissue, what about ultrasound? Where does that fit?
Ultrasound, it plays a key supplemental role for dense breasts, both the handheld kind and the automated systems. But, it has its own drawbacks. Handheld ultrasound can have high false positive rates.
Meaning unnecessary biopsies and anxiety.
Exactly. And it's very dependent on who's doing the scan, the operator's skill. Even with the automated systems, if they find something suspicious, you often still need a handheld check to verify it.
So more steps, more time.
Yep. More workflow complexity.
Okay, what about contrast-enhanced mammography, CE Mammo?
Right. So CE Mammo, here in the US anyway, it's really a diagnostic tool, not typically for initial screening. It tries to compensate for the limits of standard 2D compression-based mammograms by using contrast dye. But it still can't provide true 3D imaging, like a full volumetric scan. It's still fundamentally based on those compressed flat images where things might get obscured.
But reimbursement is improving for it.
Yes, that's a positive trend. We are seeing better reimbursement pathways opening up.
Got it. Then there's MBI, molecular breast imaging.
MBI, yeah. That's more of an emerging technology. It uses gamma radiation and radioactive tracers. It's usually reserved for investigational diagnostics, not routine screening. And the key thing to note is the radiation dose is substantially higher than typical X-ray-based systems like mammography or DBT.
Okay, higher dose, more specialized use.
Correct.
And finally, the one people often hear about for high sensitivity, breast MRI. Traditional and the faster version, abbreviated MRI.
Right. MRI definitely has high sensitivity, no question. It's very good at finding cancers.
There's always a but, it seems.
Well, yeah. The downsides are significant. First, cost. These machines are incredibly expensive, anywhere from $1 million to over $3 million.
Wow.
The procedures themselves are long, time-consuming, so it's often reserved just for patients considered high risk.
And getting access can be tough.
Very tough. MRI machines aren't usually dedicated just to breasts. They're used for all sorts of scans, cons, brains, spines, knees.
So you're competing for time.
Exactly.
Look.
Which leads to long wait times for patients needing a breast MRI.
So looking at all these options, mammography, ultrasound, CE mammo, MBI, MRI, they all have strengths, but also real limitations.
They do, and this really raises that important question. How do we actually overcome these limitations? How do we improve early detection and outcomes across all settings? Especially, when you think about access disparities, like the fact that rural women often present with more advanced stage breast cancer.
That's a critical point.
It highlights this urgent need for solutions that are accessible, maybe even mobile, suitable for lower resource areas, things that can find cancer earlier when it's easier to treat effectively. What do you see as the biggest hurdle there?
Yeah, that accessibility piece is huge. It seems like many existing tools, even the really powerful ones like MRI, face these barriers: cost, convenience, or those technical limits like with dense breasts. And this whole drive for better, earlier detection, it naturally leads us to another area that's just exploding right now. AI, artificial intelligence in radiology. I mean, just since the start of 2025, the FDA has greenlit over 100 AI-enabled radiology algorithms. That pace is just wow.
It's truly transforming the field. AI is being used to, enhance interpretation, significantly cut down reading time for radiologists.
Helping them get through more scans.
Yes, improving efficiency, but also standardizing the reporting, making it more consistent, and even facilitating predictive analytics. Think about integrating a patient's genetic data, their imaging findings, their clinical history. AI can analyze all that together.
Providing a more complete picture.
Exactly, offering a layer of analytical precision that can really boost diagnostic confidence. It's about augmenting the radiologist's expertise, not replacing it.
Okay, that sounds incredibly powerful for efficiency, for accuracy, but, and this feels like an important but, we have to talk about this issue of AI hallucinations, right? Like we've seen with models like GPT-4o.
Yes, that's a known concern.
Where the AI can basically make things up, present false information as fact, and do it really convincingly. So what does this mean for trust and reliability in a medical setting, especially if the user isn't a medical expert? How do we navigate that potential pitfall? What's your main worry there?
That's an excellent question, and it's crucial. My primary concern really revolves around the responsible implementation and, importantly, the training of these AI tools. Look, AI can spot patterns way faster than humans, no doubt, but its output is only ever as good as the data it learned from.
Garbage in, garbage out, essentially.
Pretty much. And the risk of a hallucination in medicine where a false positive, or worse, a false negative, could have really serious consequences. It just means we absolutely cannot rely solely on AI without human oversight.
Right.
So what here is that these tools must be developed with incredibly rigorous validation. We need transparency about their limitations. We need clear guidelines on how they fit into the clinical workflow, and always, always with a qualified medical professional in the loop. It has to be about careful collaboration, not just blind automation.
Careful collaboration. I like that. It emphasizes the human element is still key.
Absolutely essential.
And that actually sets the stage perfectly, doesn't it, for what might be a really transformative development we're seeing with technology called IzoView. This is a dedicated breast CT system. And it seems positioned to kind of bridge that gap we talked about, maybe between DBT and MRI. And it's aiming right at what's projected to be the fastest growing slice of the breast imaging market, that other category, growing at, over 11% CAGR.
That's right, 11.15%. And yeah, the real insight with IzoView is how it's not just another imaging machine. its whole design, its cost structure. It seems positioned to really democratize access to advanced diagnostics, which could fundamentally reshape how we approach early detection, especially in those underserved communities we mentioned.
Okay, so how does it do that? What makes it different?
Well, first off, it offers true 3D imaging. That means it images the breast in its natural state, completely uncompressed.
No compression.
No compression, which immediately eliminates that problem of tissue overlap and distortion you get with mammography and DBT, the things that often reduce sensitivity and dense tissue.
Okay, hold on. No compression. That alone sounds like a massive patient experience improvement. I think anyone who's had a mammogram would agree.
Oh, absolutely. Eliminating breast compression is a huge win for patient comfort and, like we said, potentially compliance. People might be less hesitant to get screened. But beyond comfort, the image quality itself is key. It boasts superior resolution, potentially up to 100 times greater spatial image resolution compared to MRI.
100 times. That's
That's
a
it.
lot.
It's a significant difference in the level of detail you can get from that true 3D data.
Hmm.
And the clinical performance data is looking really compelling. Trials done at UC Davis Medical Center on breast CT technology using prototype devices for academic research purposes showed its diagnostic performance was comparable to breast MRI when using contrast.
So similar diagnostic power to MRI, which is often seen as the gold standard, but without the compression. What about the cost? You mentioned democratizing access, and MRI is notoriously expensive.
Right, and that's where it gets potentially game-changing from an accessibility perspective.
Yeah.
IzoView has a target price of around $500,000 USD.
How does that stack up?
Well, compare that to MRI machines, which run $1 million to over $3 million, or even other breast CT systems that are out there or in development, which are often priced around $1.5 million USD.
So significantly less.
Significantly. This lower price point could make it far more accessible for a much wider range of imaging centers. Think community hospitals, smaller clinics, places that simply could never afford a multi-million-dollar MRI machine.
So it's not just a new gadget for big research hospitals. It's about getting high-level imaging into more places, potentially streamlining that whole diagnostic process.
Precisely. It really has the potential to consolidate those often fragmented diagnostic pathways, the multiple callbacks, the extra scans, and potentially cut down dramatically on the, over $8 billion spent every year in the US just on follow-up imaging due to false positives or inconclusive results.
Think of the savings, yeah, but also the reduced patient anxiety from all those callbacks.
Exactly. And again, that patient-centered design, no compression, fast, contact-free exam that can boost screening compliance, which at the end of the day is critical for finding cancers early.
And tying back to our earlier discussion, what about AI? Is this system built with AI in mind?
It seems incredibly AI ready. The company has developed a proprietary deep machine learning image reconstruction,
Okay.
which generates these high-fidelity standardized data sets. That kind of data is optimal for AI tools to analyze. And because it's true 3D data acquisition, without the variables introduced by compression or operator technique like an ultrasound, it provides the consistency that robust AI applications really need.
Makes sense. Consistent input data leads to more reliable AI output.
Exactly. Now, for personalized screening, its initial FDA green light, its indication for use, is specifically as a contrast-enhanced screening tool and adjunct to DBT for asymptomatic women who have dense breast tissue.
So targeting that specific group where other methods might struggle.
Right. And what's really unique here is it holds a U.S. patent for actually measuring breast density using breast CT technology. Currently, density assessment is primarily linked to mammography.
So it could offer a more objective, maybe more accurate density measure? That seems like a big deal for personalized risk assessment.
It could be, yes. It really positions it as more than just a single-purpose device, doesn't it?
It sounds like it. More like a platform technology.
I think that's the right way to look at it. It's designed as a scalable platform. The idea is it can potentially expand its uses beyond screening into diagnosis, treatment monitoring, surgical planning, personalized medicine.
And how would that expansion happen? New hardware each time.
Not necessarily. Many of these potential future uses, these additional indications for use they're anticipating around 14 across 5 key areas, could be enabled just through software upgrades for centers that adopt the technology early.
Okay. So it's built for future growth.
Seems that way. And it's backed by a pretty robust, strategically layered patent portfolio that extends out into the 2040s, protecting not just the machine itself, but also innovations in how it acquires images, how data is presented, radiation safety features, even how it integrates into the clinic's workflow.
Sounds very comprehensive.
It does. And, if we connect this all back to the bigger picture, a system like IzoView seems to align perfectly with that global shift we're seeing towards care that is more personalized, risk adapted, and patient centered. It feels like a clear example of how technological advancements can genuinely address critical unmet needs, like screening dense breasts effectively, improving comfort, managing costs in a way that's both cost effective and much more patient friendly. It really pushes us toward earlier, more precise detection.
You're right. It doesn't feel like just another small step. It really does
That's
sound
true.
positioned to potentially define a new standard in breast imaging. Wow. Okay, so we've taken quite an exciting journey here, haven't we, through this really complex landscape of breast imaging, from looking at the huge global challenges to diving into some truly groundbreaking innovations like AI and this new breast CT technology.
And I think the direct relevance to you listening right now is pretty clear. These advancements we've talked about, they're driving earlier, more precise cancer detection. Ultimately, that means better patient outcomes. It's about making breast cancer care more effective and hopefully more accessible than it's ever been before.
Absolutely. Thinking about everything we've discussed, what happens when these powerful new solutions are actually priced within reach of, say, lower resource community imaging facilities? What changes then? Thank you for taking the time to learn more about this innovative technology.